Skylark Outdoors here, and today I'm excited to share with you our review of Telluride Ski Resort, which we've got right here. We're pretty much at the top of the mountain, and you can see the views from the top of Telluride are incredible. But before we get into the review, if I could ask you to give us that thumbs up, subscribe, and click any links below if you want to support us. We've got a Patreon as well as buy us a coffee. So Telluride Ski Resort is located in southwest Colorado, and it has some really unique geography as well as the mountains surrounding it. It's basically completely surrounded by 13,000 and 14,000 foot peaks, which gives it this incredible view. Now, it was founded in 1972, and it has a base elevation of 8,725 feet, and then a peak of 13,150. Now, what is the most amazing thing I think about Telluride is that pretty much wherever you are within the resort, you're going to get these incredible steep mountain views, and that's because Telluride's kind of situated in this valley at the end of the road, and it is truly a dead-end road in Telluride. When you drive up in there into the valley of Telluride, you get to the town, that's it, the road ends. There's nowhere else to go, and it's about an hour from the next major metropolitan city or area that has more services. And you can see right there, we're on the gondola. The views are just incredible around sunset or at night in Telluride because you get the sun going down over the mountains, and you can see there another mountain, another wall face. This stuff is incredible. And that face that we're looking at straight ahead of us, you can actually ski down that. You can see there's a lift up there to the left. So really incredible terrain, as well as there's plenty of beginner terrain, but Telluride is known for its extreme and steep and expert terrain, which is just really incredible. They've got some good lift serve terrain, but then also some short boot pack terrain. So you don't necessarily have to have a touring setup if you want to go off-piste or get into some of the more free ride areas. You can just boot pack up some of the trails and then take your typical regular alpine ski, alpine binding skis. You don't necessarily have to have a touring boot or a touring setup to get to some of the backcountry, as they would say, in Telluride. So that is another advantage. Overall, just a beautiful place. And actually, when you are at the top of Telluride, there's some of the lifts there that will allow you to see the mountains that are apparently the mountains that are the inspiration for the Coors Light can logo there. And I think those are the mountains over to the left, just out of screen. You can't really see them in this video, but you can kind of look down the entire Telluride Valley when we're up on this traverse at the top of the mountain. This is just a standard kind of blue run, pretty wide. But when you get up here, the views are spectacular. So if you're going to Telluride, I recommend you get to the top of this lift, just ask around, and you don't have to take down extreme terrain, but you certainly could take extreme terrain down. For the purpose of this video, we just took the cat track traverse, and it's a really nice long trail that gives you beautiful views and is one of my favorite ways to end the day, is go all the way up there. It's kind of a nice fun way to wind down and get all the views and just take it all in after a day of skiing. Nothing too crazy at the end of the day. Plenty of space. And that's another thing about Telluride. Because of its location in southwest Colorado, it's far away from places like Denver or Salt Lake City. You just get fewer people, as well as the lodging is relatively limited in Telluride and it's fairly pricey. So typically when I've been there at Telluride, pretty minimal amount of crowds. It really feels pretty open. This is probably the busiest run I've been on, and that's just because it's a smaller trail and everybody's trying to get down the mountain at the end of the day. Now, what also is really cool, I mean, look at this house up here at the top. I believe that's a rental house. I'm not sure if somebody owns it, but it's kind of like the one ski house at the very top of the mountain, which is pretty wild. But what is also really cool is that there's kind of like two base areas in Telluride. There's Mountain Village, which is a newer development kind of around the ski resort, and then there's in-town Telluride. So you can take a gondola all the way from in-town Telluride basically to Mountain Village. It traverses kind of the whole mountain, so you could go out to dinner in Mountain Village, or you could go out to dinner in downtown Telluride, and then you could take that back. And then there's also a restaurant on the peak that the gondola stops at that has incredible views, so that's a fun place at the end of the day to get a drink or dinner or whatever, whether you're staying in town in Telluride or Mountain Village. And they just kind of both have different things. Mountain Village is a newer development, more ski resort like, and then in town Telluride's kind of like an old out west mountain town with some bars, restaurants, and historical bars from the 1800s, potentially from when this was a mining town and people used to go in there and have a good time. So neat to stay either spot, but I think it's a very unique thing where they got the gondola that takes you from basically all the way to the top of the mountain, and then it takes you all the way back down to the other side. And what's cool about that is I recommend, even if you're not going to go to dinner or go to a restaurant or any of that, if you've got a lift ticket, take up the gondola just to see the sunset, because you don't often get that when you're skiing, because a lot of times the resorts will close earlier than sunset, just depending on the time of the year. But pretty fun ride just to take it in, and you're like, this is almost just as good as skiing, seeing some of the views, and really just taking the time to see kind of the mountains and how the light reflects off them and stuff like that. So really enjoyable. We're going to get into some more of the stats on Telluride now. So we said the base was 8,725, peaks 13,150, and that's if you go all the way to the top where you can go boot pack up. If you don't boot pack up, it's about 500 or 600 feet less in elevation. The vertical, if you hike all the way up, 4,425 feet. Lift serve vertical terrain, 3,845. So that is a lot of vertical. Anything over, I would say 3,300 vertical feet is a pretty big vertical drop. So there's a lot of vertical drop in Telluride. And then you've got 2,000 acres of skiable terrain, 23% beginner, 36% intermediate, and 41% expert. And I think one thing that is maybe misleading about the percentage of terrain is that, it says 23% beginner terrain, there's actually a lot of beginner trails and terrain out there. What they're saying is, I believe 23% of the trails are rated beginner terrain, but some of those beginner trails are like, I don't know, 100 or 200 yards wide. So really good places to learn and have a lot of space. And even though it says 23%, there's plenty of beginner terrain for people to explore. And some of those beginner trails are really long and kind of branch off. So they've got a really good base area for learning near that mountain village. If I was going to say, hey, I want to learn to ski or I want to get started skiing, I'd probably stay at Mountain Village, because you're kind of right at the bottom of the beginner slope. Whereas if you stay in town Telluride, you're at the base of the gondola and it takes you straight up and might be intimidating for first time skiers. But you could take that all the way over to Mountain Village and go from there. But it's probably nicer if you're not going to ski all day and just going to get a couple runs in and get started, to stay in Mountain Village. But if you are going to ski all day and enjoy it, and you've skied before, you could stay in either Mountain Village or the town of Telluride and really have a good time. So 23% beginner terrain, 36% intermediate terrain, 41% expert terrain, and some of that expert terrain is wild at Telluride. When you take that lift all the way up, yeah, there's groomed runs. Those are pretty nice. They're pretty steep, but then the ungroomed stuff at Telluride, depending on the snowpack and snow level, can get pretty gnarly, and you can really get into anything you want. And some of those super steep areas also have cliff faces, mandatory air, all kinds of extreme stuff. So if you're an extreme skier, you're going to have plenty to do there. And I looked at some of those runs going up on the lift, and I'm like, I can't believe people do that. But you would see ski tracks in some of these areas where it doesn't look like you could even ski through it, but people do. So cheers to you if you are that person. That is not me. I love some challenging ski terrain, but I like to go skiing all season. I don't take maybe as many risks as some of y'all do, but maybe it's not that much of a risk if you're an extreme athlete like that. So good for you, and I am jealous. 3 terrain parks. So not as many terrain parks as some other places, but they definitely have them if that's what you want to do. Or if you've got a park rat in your family that wants to go to the terrain park all day, you definitely can do that. 330 inches of average snow accumulation per season. They've got 149 trails and 17 lifts. In my entire time at Telluride, I never felt like it was very busy. It does feel very open, and this is like I'm in the busy area right now because this is more of a beginner area. But as soon as you go up to some of the higher lifts, like you can see on this trail right here, it's pretty much wide open. So this one's actually down more in the beginner area, but just kind of off to the side, and a lot of cool terrain. This one was a really long, relaxing run. Nothing special about it, but you go over a couple bridges, under a couple bridges, just kind of fun. And you go through some of the areas where people have built houses along the terrain, so it's fun to look at all the houses and wave as you go by if people are out there hanging out. So fun spot to go. Overall, Telluride, a little bit difficult to get to. Lodging situations more difficult than some ski towns, just because it's not like on an interstate where you can go 1 hour the one direction, an hour the other, and find some other places to get housing or a hotel or Airbnb or whatever. In Telluride, you're pretty much at the end of the road. So you once you get up there, you've got to stay up there for the most part, and then it's probably about an hour or so, hour and 20 minutes, depending on snow conditions, road conditions, traffic, and everything, to go back to another town. So if you are going to do Telluride, even though it's expensive, you probably should stay up there, just because that's a long drive on a 2-lane road at night, and you never know what the weather conditions could be, because if it's great skiing, arguably snowing, it's going to make it hard to drive. So just put that into your plan if you're planning to go up to Telluride. But pretty cool place. It does have less visitors, less people than some of the other resorts because of its remoteness from metropolitan areas, and that's part of the charm of it. I'm not sure if you have to make a reservation for this or not, but I had this, I believe Telluride's on the Icon Pass, and you have to get the full Icon Pass. I think the one that allows you 7 days skiing at multiple resorts, and that's what I got. I think Jackson Hole and Telluride are the two that you gotta make sure you get that full Icon Pass for in order to be able to go to it. So if you've got one, it is worth trying to make a trip. If you Telluride's on your place of a list of places that you want to go skiing at, really cool. They've got something for everyone there. The lift system I really like. There's I think some pictures too of a little like opera ski place on the mountain. It's called the Beach. It's like a little mining cabin, and then there's a barn there, and you can get drinks, cocktails, whatever. But it's a fun place people hang out at around like 4 or 5 o'clock, or at the end of the day, whenever that is in Telluride, and people just have a good time. So a lot of fun skiing here. Do highly recommend it if you've never been. You can have plenty of fun. Just, I think the one caveat to that is you just have to plan your lodging situation a little bit, and figure out the trip, because you are in that dead end valley. And then the actual town of Telluride, I don't have any pictures of it here, any video of it, but it's really cool because the town's basically in the middle of these steep cliffs that just kind of like rise out of nowhere. So you almost get vertigo from being on the ground in Telluride, looking up, because you're in this valley that's just surrounded by these huge mountainous faces, which is just a really cool feeling, and a lot of fun to see. So this is kind of like a beginner area. This isn't Mountain Village. This is Sunshine Sunshine Express 10 lift. But this is like another day lodge area that they've got, bathrooms, food, and you can get on a lift, do whatever you want here. So overall, Telluride's a really cool place. I felt really fortunate to get to go ski there. It was one that I had on my list. And I think one of the most stunning things about Telluride is just the views. You get incredible views from pretty much anywhere on the resort. And then just the openness of terrain, and the fewer people, just because it's harder to get to. This was like a Saturday or Sunday in March that I took this video, and they had just gotten, I don't know, 6 inches of fresh snow a day or two before, and maybe like an inch or two overnight the night before I came. So pretty good conditions. I didn't run in any ice. But then those groomed runs that Telluride does have, they do groom those out really nice. There's one groomed run that's kind of on it's a ski racing run that they groom, and I think I had one of my fastest downhills I've ever had, just enjoying on that freshly groomed powder. So if you like groomed trails, there's plenty of that at Telluride. They groom some pretty steep stuff too. So if you like steeped groomed trails, that's a lot of fun. But there's also groomed greens and blacks, but they have a couple runs set up for like ski racing course and stuff like that every once in a while. So that was fun to take a lap or two on that and just enjoy it if that's what you like to do. But there is some really steep terrain, so that's one thing to note about Telluride. You can definitely end up in some steep terrain and enjoy yourself. So thanks for watching this review of Telluride Ski Resort. Please give us that thumbs up, subscribe, click any links below if you want to support us. That does help support the channel. Buy us a coffee, or you can subscribe to our Patreon. We'll see you next time.